races for Florida. We went to Tucson, went to La Cruces, New Mexico, El Paso, San Antonio, Houston, Texas. We went to the United States to New Orleans and Tallahassee. And because we tired to all the Republicano partidos, place races to us. And then I so happy in 2020 in Arizona, one state to red, if we change to the blue. We need to change to the all the Texas and Florida in the future because I'm tired a lot of discrimination races to us community. And then last week we went to group and we said thank you, Senator Alex Padilla, because support to the bill is 2606 for immigration reform. And then this is the promise to Barack Obama for the Latino community immigration reform. But this is the time, this is a lot of promise, the Democrat Party, we need to go change. And we went to Senate to speak up to different, Senate from Republican guy to Democrat Party, because we need to, for the dreamer, or for people TPS that would live here in the United States, I have immigration reform. I wanted the people having this paper. And they went to the club to the Democrat Party and start making more action because I want to come into people to support and then go to change the different states, the red, I want to change the blue. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I haven't had an opportunity to do all that kind of work as of yet, but I have some ideas. I think they're just ideas I would like to see, particularly in South County, San Diego, for the BIPOC community. And I'm going to speak directly for Black and African Americans in South County, South San Diego. We just need to show up. Like plain and simple, we need to show up. So often I am one of the persons in the room. And I am alone and lonely and tired and it's heavy and it's not fair. And that can't continue. And I look around the room and I see a few of us here. And I know that we stand on the shoulders of giants. I know the history, I can go on and on and on. And I know you're up in North County, and so I know how lonely that can be, you know? So, but with that being said, 21st century, we have to advertise differently. We got to go vibrant. Some of you know that I ran for school board seat, and one of the colors that I just jumped in with was orange. Orange represents for my niece. My niece passed away a couple of years back, but orange is vibrant. Orange is the earth color. And if we're going to advertise, we need to advertise to our people, BIPOC people. And we need to go where they are. And if they are in schools, we need to be there. I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. I'm there. Our parents want to be invited. All you have to do is just bring out some food, pay some point downstairs. That line is long and walk in. I don't been long. You bring some food out and some free water. You'd be surprised how many people you can get. So some colors, some orange, some bright colors, some free food, some free water, and a good conversation that is going to move your people and involve them. So for me, that's big and number one. When I was knocking doors, it was just a conversation. It was simple, very, very simple. Transparency. Stop with all the hokey pokey games. Stop all the big numbers. Stop with all this fancy business and all the lies and all the rhetoric. Keep it very simple. You know, when you're going to sign up for car insurance, they say insurance says, do not put all those big words on paper. Keep it very, very simple. Well, we're simple folks too. We might all be very educated, right? However, we want to keep it simple. So when you're knocking on doors, you're talking to our people, we want our people to be understood. They want to understand us, and we're just regular old folks. So let's have a conversation, but let's invite folks out. People that look like us, and let's not be afraid to invite the very next Black person that you see in the grocery store to your club meeting. Invite the next Asian American to your club meeting. Open it up. In the Black church, we said, bring a friend to church. Is that first Sunday? That second Sunday? You're gonna bring a friend to club meetings. Just bring them out and tell them, bring their kids. Bring their kids. A lot of times, it's like, is it inviting for kids? If it's not, they probably won't come. So we want to make it simple, but also it needs to be colorful, it needs to be free, it needs to be fun, it needs to be on point, something that they want to hear. It needs to be relevant. No one wants to hear this old made up, is for CRT and we want to ban the books and blah, 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 blah. That's a bunch of, you know. So keep it real, keep it relevant, make it colorful, and don't be afraid to talk to your next door neighbor, the person in front of you in line. Invite someone new to your club.
Well, thank you. Actually, you said that. But I have three things. Number one is invitation. And personal invitation means something. You can't get away with saying, oh, I don't know, we don't know anybody, or they don't come. No, you have to go where they are, and you have to give them a personal invitation so they know that they are welcome. The second thing is when they come to your club, you have to be welcoming. Now, I have been to some clubs and no one spoke to me. And or if I went up and introduced myself, the person said, she's not very important, I don't really have to pay that much attention to her. You know, that thing where people kind of brush you off. As opposed to being welcoming, where you introduce them to the people in the club, give them an opportunity to stand up and speak and say who they are, but take an interest in them. And then the third point is being relevant, because it's nobody wants to spend hours in a club that has to do with our interests. We have no priorities. The reason that we started the Black and African Women Body Democratic Club is because we wanted to specifically focus on things that could concern Black women. And everybody, and we have plenty, is what our mission is. Our mission is to give Black women the attention and support. And that is where our focus is. So if your club is a different, let's just say you have an environmental club, or you have a mountain climbing club, whatever your thing is with your club, you have to look for people, yes, BIPOC people, but people who share your interest. So there's plenty of people, and we are extremely diverse, by the way. There's not one type. So we have people that are urban, people that are rural, people have all different interests. So don't think that we're all into the one thing that you might see on television. So but being relevant, and one of the things that I did was I did a survey to find out what policy ideas do people are their priorities. And I can tell you that from that survey, I can see specifically the type of things that the white community were more interested in, things the Black community, I'm being general, but we could actually see in the numbers. So when we did our programming, we can program around what people's interests are. So it's important that you are doing something that is relevant. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is actually something that is called token fatigue. And that is when you're the only one and everybody thinks you have all the answers for your whole race. And so we don't. So don't just have one piece, let's take a Noah's Ark, at least have two.
I've been a part of my club since 2000. I have found the club and listen clearly, with 6 other Latino men, and we were not called the Latino Democratic Club for males. We were called the Chula Democratic Club. And we set out and we started to try to attract and be representative of the community we were purporting to represent. Chula Vista, 270,000 residents Even though it's 64% Latino, guess what? We have African Americans, we have white, we have Asian, Filipinos, particularly almost 14%, and we have Native Americans. We don't have too many identified American Indians, but we do have Native Americans. We're confident of that. 3 things that I do in my club, try to create a space that doesn't make us unauthentic. Because the worst thing you can do is try what I call, well, tokenism. Try tokenism, try to be anything that you're not, and it'll show. So one of the things that we try to be is an open space, even if it's critical of me, and trust me, I don't like that. You can ask Michelle. Even if it's critical of me, I let that language and that vocabulary and that narrative into the room. Because the only way you're going to create authentic spaces is if everybody owns the space. Number 1, so create an open forum, an open space. Make sure that happens at every meeting. My meetings always start with everybody introducing themselves and everybody having the last say as they leave. Everybody speaks in my club. Notice how I say my club. I expect my members to talk about my club the way I do. And third, we use one tool primarily, and I apologize to those of you, Michelle, who are not on Facebook, but I keep consistent with the openness and the engagement with topics. If we are going to be an inclusive organization, we need to show it. And so if any of you go see the Chula Vista Democratic Club, well, I closed the group recently because we had some infiltrators that were Republicans and nationalistic Republicans, those that don't like, people like Luis who are advocates for the immigration community and otherwise. And so I had to close the group because they were stealing our photos, and then guess where they would show up? At the dais at Chula Vista City Council where I sit and read back my stuff. So I said, okay, we're gonna close the club. But in Facebook, anybody who's in my club will tell you that I post about all of the groups that make up Chula Vista, all of the language groups, all of the communities we all are all part of. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is most elected officials in Chula Vista are members of my club. Not because it's the place to be, because we grew up in that club together. And we've been members for a long time. So the 3 things is, don't fake it, it's gonna show. Don't try, it'll show. Number 2, commit to what you're committed to, right? So at every meeting, everybody speaks, everybody's introduced, and before you leave, everybody speaks. You can pass, but you will have the chance to speak. It's so democratic. I mean, it's almost, it makes me seem like a quiet Michelle. I'm already anticipating that she's gonna criticize me, so I've already engaged her. But the fact that she's able to criticize me should convert to that we do what we do. And last, food. Bring food, lots of food.
Okay, I have an exercise for you. I want everyone to do me a favor and close your eyes. And we're gonna answer these questions. Raise your hand with your eyes closed, because some of you cheat already. I see that. Raise your hands if you heard at least one item that you could connect to your club.
In a good way.
Well, we'll let you jump in. Okay, you put your hands down. Raise your hands if you're a leader or hold a position in your club. All right, put your hands down. Raise your hand if that thing that you saw about implementing, you'll be able to do from your position in a club.
What was that again?
If the one thing you learned that you could take back to your club that you could do, but you can do it as a leader in your club. Okay, the reason I asked you to do that, I don't want anybody, oh, I got one more question. Eyes closed, one more. Raise your hands if you heard something that made you a little uncomfortable. Okay, so you can open your eyes. or the reason I had you close your eyes to do that is because they're gonna be here for the rest. Well, maybe not, because you got a parking meter to roll up out of here. Make sure,
3:15.
but what we want to do is make sure that we access the resources. This is really about resource management, streamlining your processes, using the folks that you have that are available. Because some of these conversations are gonna be uncomfortable. And so so that we stay on time, each one of you get a minute to tell me if there's anything you'd like them to know on the way out the door to carry home to their club and to their friends and to their board members.
Sí, él está pidiéndote que le ofrezcas un comentario de 1 minuto que ellos puedan implementar como estrategia para bienvenir a la comunidad BIPOC, que es afroamericanos, la comunidad indígena americana y otros contribuidores de la comunidad no blanca. ¿Ok?
Ok, pero lo voy a decir en español, te lo voy a pasar.
Perfectamente.
Una de las cosas es que nosotros en el club que estamos de la voz demócrata no vemos color ni raza.
We in La Voz don't see color or race.
Sino vemos el ser humano, lo que tiene aquí y lo que siente por las personas, por el respeto al ser humano, a las culturas, porque aquí somos un país de inmigrantes todos. Hemos llegado por muchos años, aunque unos tienen más años que aquí, otros.
You want to translate, you gotta give me some space. So, you got that he sees human beings and that they all have minds and hearts. He sees the community of immigrants, no matter if you got here right now or you got here over a period of time.
Nos preocupamos por todas las comunidades porque son nuestros vecinos, son parte de nuestra familia y son nuestros amigos.
So this club that he represents cares about the broader family that he's a part of, all of you, and he cares about his neighbors, the broader community that is us.
Y nos preocupamos por cualquier persona en la comunidad porque vivimos en el condado de San Diego.
So La Voz, he's suggesting that he cares about all communities because he's a member and part of San Diego County.
Un ejemplo es como Paloma Aguirre, y nos ha ayudado ella a trabajar con el medio ambiente, que estamos teniendo una problemática con las aguas de la frontera y cómo los muros pueden dividir y a veces desastres naturales en nuestra frontera.
So he's pointing out that he works closely with Imperial Beach Mayor Paloma Aguirre, and they're very concerned and interested in the sewer contamination of the environment, and that affects everybody, and he sees an opportunity to work on that. He also sees natural disasters and the border issue as a confluence of problems that we can all work on together.
Y una cosa es porque ¿qué mundo le vamos a dejar a nuestros hijos o a nuestros nietos? Por eso el Club Demócrata se preocupa sobre educación, sobre viviendas y cualquier otro problema que nos afecte en nuestra comunidad. Y muchas gracias.
So La Voz is worried about the world they're going to leave for the future. They're worried about housing, they're worried about education, and they're worried about the world we're going to be in for everyone in the future.
Thank you.
Good job with Dave.
Thank you, Michelle.
So for me, I really just want to, if I could, I would want to shout it. I really would want to shout it. I'm a native San Diegan, and prior to jumping into the politics world, I've only known education. Education and aviation, those are my two areas of knowledge, and I wouldn't say expertise, but knowledge. Coming into the world of politics, I did not know there was such a thing of a real American divide or colorism or any of that. I grew up in what we call now City Heights my whole life. My parents, a product of one of the toughest communities in the country, Watts, California. But I was so, I guess, sheltered and protected. I grew up in one of the most diverse communities in San Diego. When I graduated from Hoover High School, many moons ago. We graduated with 64 other countries represented. And who knows how many languages, but one of the traditions that we have at Hoover is that we have a flag for every country that's represented on our field when we graduate. And so we didn't know that there was such a thing as racism. We didn't know that there was such a thing as someone, being afraid of being who they were, if you were, anything outside of your natural self, or anything being of who you were in love with, or who you loved, or there wasn't any of that. So to come into a world of politics as an educator, this was new for me. It really was a culture shock. It really was. So now living in South Bay, I am a different person. I know that I'm like a giraffe in a world that is like, but you were born in San Diego. I was, but I was not born to see and to live in a world in a San Diego that was so racially divided and politically divided. I guess I did live in a bubble. So for me, I know nothing but to speak to everyone. I don't know to see and to be rude and to be mean to someone just because they're a Republican or they have a different view than me. So for me, I'm going to speak, and I would love for everyone else to join me, that we bring down those barriers, regardless if they are blue or red. We bring down those barriers, and when you have an opportunity to, this is the teacher in me, you teach. There's no damn CRT being taught in schools. Just letting you know straight up, it's not. That's a rumor, that is a lie. Take the opportunity to teach. It's not real, but we are going to invite them to our clubs, everyone. So if you get an invitation from me or from someone else, come. And I do come. I show up to all of them. If I'm invited to Imperial Beach, I'm going. So if you have not had an opportunity to meet someone in the room, take an opportunity, as we say, a good old Baptist, look to your left, look to your right, and say, I'm so happy that you are here today. And you invite them to your club meeting and to come break bread with you. That's what we are going to do. So as a new president of the club, that is what I am going to do. I can't say all the fancy new things and all the promises and all that other stuff. The most simplest of things that I can do and that I do in my own classroom is I feed folks. I make them feel welcome. I invite their parents in, their family in, their grandmothers in, everyone's in. But we're gonna eat good, we're gonna have a good time, we're gonna be honest, it's gonna be transparent, and whether you like me or not, you're gonna feel really neat. Okay, all right.
Well, let me just take this opportunity to invite everyone to the Black and African Women's Rise Democratic Club, the third Sunday of the month, 2:30. We're online, and everybody's invited. So thank you. Say, it's one thing to have people of color come to your meeting, maybe once, twice they show up and then they don't come back. So retention is really important. And what makes a person come back is the relationship. And so I think in the panel we just had earlier, they were talking about meeting people for coffee. But whether it's a coffee date, like tennis, golf, whatever it is, you need to engage people one-on-one. And so people you'll find are more alike than you have any idea, regardless of what their culture is. You'll find certain things that you do have in common, but make sure that you engage with that person on a one-on-one personal level, and that everyone in the club takes some time to get to know them. Because if you get to know them and they get to know you, then they feel comfortable and they can really feel like a part of you.
The only recommendation I can give you is, allow yourself to feel that you're doing the right thing with the club that you have. Let me tell you why. Over time, those things that you are interested in doing are gonna happen if you created a foundation to be welcoming, to be allow folks to engage, and lastly, to let people be who they are in your club, so they don't construct this, oh, I have to be here because of this or that. Just give yourself an opportunity, and people will come. Right now in the club, I'm president of the club, we have about 110 members. I would say it's 40%, 50% Latino, and about 40 or 50% white. And then a scattering of African Americans and Asians. There's some LGBTs. I'm perfectly happy with that club where it is today. If we continue to be the practices we do, we used to be almost 100% Latino. Things change, things are evolving. And so have a strategy, but let that strategy be authentic. Tokenism is not something you want. You want to make sure it's an authentic space and people will come. Thank you.
Thank you all. Of course, we did not have enough time to really get any deeper, but can we get a round of applause for